Welcome to another episode of New Gameplay Today. It's the beginning of the year. We're finally waking up. I'm Jeff Cork, joined today by Suriel Vazquez.
Hello.
How's it going, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
Super good. And we've got Kyle Hilliard in the booth because Leo is sick. Speaking of sick, shut up, Kyle.
Oh, sorry.
You're cutting into that sheep.
Yeah. So this is Metal Gear Survive. It's as the title will tell you, it is a game about survival, and they're really leaning in heavily on that. And one of the things you need to do to survive, before we had this whole, society thing happen, we used to kill sheep with poles.
Okay.
We had polls first? That's weird.
Yeah, I mean, poles were really like the first big invention.
CQC?
Oh, absolutely.
Like for the fakes, okay.
This is how hunting used to happen.
All right.
We used to collect, caracol, something, and animal leather from them by holding the square button.
So here's what I know about this game.
Okay.
Everyone who's played it says, that's better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, that's
basically the extent of my knowledge.
That's where I left it after playing it for about an hour and a half.
Right.
We should point out that this isn't us playing. This is the developers was kind enough to send over some footage, but I did get to play about 2 hours of it. But yeah, I got a basic feel of what the game flow is going to be.
Yeah.
And I'm interested, if like not totally on board, but I want to play this game when it comes out.
Now, it does seem like when I walked in, because you had an open door policy during your in-office demo, and I took full advantage of that, and I walked in, and you were killing a dog. You couldn't have timed it any better. So it seems like...
Yeah, you used to kill all sorts of things to survive. But as you saw there earlier, I was hungry.
Yeah.
And you can see sort of to the left there are the health and stamina meters. And we need to eat to get those up and be able to even sprint, basically. If you get below, I think, 900, you start slowing down. So you definitely want to... drink up and eat up as much as possible. So as you can see there, I had to find a bottle and I filled it with water, and then I punched the sheep.
Yes.
Which it just cold cocked him, just like haymakered him without him knowing.
So your stamina meter is the one that is currently at 900?
Yes.
And it is a resource that depletes but does not regenerate like in a traditional
It does regenerate if you stop. So if you sprint and then run out, it'll stop.
Okay.
But you eat in order to sort of lengthen the max of it. You know what I mean? And then health is sort of the same way. Well, you'll recover You'll recover health slowly, but to increase your max health, you'll have to eat. So here I'm doing a little bit of inventory management, trying to get some rags and like crafting stuff like you would expect of something like Don't Starve. And here you can see your base, which is sort of where you're going to do all this crafting and go on missions. You can hear Virgil 189, 83, one of those numbers, sort of giving you commands and sending you on missions and stuff. And so there's weight. So right here I'm building a normal fence, which is something I'll be using a little bit later. But so you find resources, you basically do the whole Bioshock thing where you basically loot as much as possible and try to build stuff out of that. So here is sort of like the first basic mission that Virgil sends you on.
I had a quick question, sir.
Yeah.
So you're not, those fences, like you don't build them at the location where you use them like Fortnite style. You're actually building them at the base and then carrying a bunch with you?
You can do both. You can sort of build your base with them, which we'll show a little bit later, but you can also deploy them in the field. So this will help in combat. So if you've seen anything of this game, you're basically fighting zombies for most of the game. And this flower that we just cut up, and we're going to cut up another one, gives you this thing called Cuban energy, which will come in handy later. But here's sort of our first encounter with zombies, trying to stealthily make my way.
Now, I'm guessing they don't call them zombies.
No, I'm not sure what they call. I don't know if there's like
containers.
Yeah, they have wanderers, let's say.
Okay.
Since that's what it says on the screen.
All right.
So yeah, you can still do some stealth. As you can see, there's a sort of detection ring from 4 and I think 5. I don't remember if it was in Metal Gear Solid 5, but where you can see sort of the waves sort of acting up. You see those are where enemies are. And so you're basically doing a lot of looting as well.
Yeah, it looks like you're just generally picking up way more stuff than you did in Metal Gear Solid 5.
You're also just breaking stuff apart. You're trying to basically see all the resources around you and start to break them apart. As you can see, there's a little bit of durability with the pole. As you use it, its durability will start going down. But basically, during my whole demo, I never really had to use another one. And here, this guy saw me, even though he doesn't have any eyes. So
he's not working with much at all.
Yeah, he just has a big crystal on his face, and his head, where his head used to be.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how they can see me, but I'm sure they have some sort of justification for how they can sense my presence.
Backing up real quick, Suriel. How did we get to this point? What kind of wacky world are we living in here?
Okay, so the plot of the game is basically fan fiction. Like you, at the beginning of towards the end of Ground Zeroes, after the XOF attack, a wormhole opens up, and a bunch of people from sort of I want to say it's Les Militaires Sans Frontières, something like that, whatever they were at the time, those guys get sucked up into the wormhole and they're taken to a land called Dite, which is basically the map from Metal Gear Solid 5, but with some differences.
It's like an alternate dimension situation,
yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah, so you start off kind of weak and you have to figure out, what's going on. And eventually you make it to sort of a mother base like area, and you have to sort of build up your base and try to get back to the other world.
Yeah, but it's not like Snake is off in a different area doing stuff. He's in a different dimension entirely, being in a coma. And
what are you gonna do? Employ Kiefer Sutherland again?
Yeah, come on.
But yeah, so this isn't canon. This isn't gonna this isn't gonna mess with your understanding of Metal Gear, at least so far from what I've played. But yeah, as you saw earlier, I just kind of deployed a fence using a wormhole, which was pretty cool. And so yeah, you basically run around and try to destroy as much of this stuff as possible, because you're going to need it for crafting fences, crafting defenses for your base, and generally just amassing resources like you would in a survival game.
And do you get a different melee weapon, or do you think you probably just stick with something like that the whole game? You think?
They did say that there are guns, and
I should hope so.
Yeah. But it was weird sort of doing a lot of melee combat in a Metal Gear game, because you don't really do that a whole bunch. Like usually you have your 1, 2, 3 hit combo in like Metal Gear 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So just having any sort of melee weapon was a little weird. But yes, they did say that even though ammo will be scarce, there will be shooting involved.
But to be fair, though, like traditionally, the Metal Gear series has featured enemies with faces as well.
That's also true. So so a lot less faces this time around. Which
actually, Cork, I would make an argument that they don't, because usually they're wearing masks.
Yeah, but we can assume there's a face.
Yeah, the faces are implied.
Yes, but I mean, we shouldn't take everything for granted.
Why are you being so hostile to me, Kyle? I don't understand what this dynamic is. I don't know. Like it.
I'm trying to emulate Leo as best I can. Okay. You guys hate each other, right?
Is that what you think is happening? I hope not. I was having a good time.
I don't know. I wasn't aware of these office politics.
Built on mutual respect, enjoying his company.
Oh, it's okay. I'll change mine.
Just an office full of perceived slights.
Yeah, you're right, Cork.
Yeah, I love it. This is great.
Metal Gear's villains probably had faces. I think we can all agree on that.
Yes, the jury is in.
So here's my objective. I'm trying to get a fairly large motherboard out of this computer. But we're gonna skip that.
Okay.
So now we can head back to our base.
Yeah, but that's like a regular mission, right? Like going into the heart of zombies or whatever they are,
right?
And taking some computer equipment.
Taking all their stuff. Here's a little bit of we're gonna cut real quickly to some of the base building stuff, where you can build your defenses. I didn't get much of a chance to test out, how these defenses are going to matter. Mm-hmm. There wasn't a mission where, the zombies attack the base or anything. But they did sort of say that it's going to be a big part of the game is building your base.
Now, is there going to be a kind of an infiltration component, like an online thing where I can go into your base and wreak havoc, kind of somewhat similar to Mother Base in GS5?
They did not mention that to me as far as I know, but that could totally be a part of it. Like the main thing that they were showing off for the online stuff is some of the co-op missions, which we'll get to later. But here, as you can see, there's a giant cloud of dust in our way, and that's going to pose a problem because we can't breathe any of that toxic stuff. So we have, as you can see, there's an oxygen tank on our back, which you have to acquire it at some point. But basically, that Cuban energy that I was acquiring, that goes into that oxygen tank.
Okay.
And that lets you breathe into the toxic dust. So here, your sprinting is a lot harder. It will take up more of your bar when you're sprinting. Mm-hmm. Just walking, as you can see, is sort of slowly depleting my stamina. I don't think it affects your health at all, but basically there's a lot less visibility, and the radar is affected. Like you're not going to get waypoints until you're super close.
I need a machete now.
Yeah, and I have a machete. My life has dropped. And so the only way you're going to know where things are is by looking sort of through the clouds and seeing sort of very strong lights that are peeking through sort of that fog. And here I'm just getting detected over and over.
So do you know or expect that players will be able to clear out these fogged areas through some kind of fan-like apparatus?
As far as I know, they didn't say that there was a way to sort of clear these areas out, but sort of the mission that I'm here to do is to sort of find a teleporter that will let me sort of just warp here and basically be able to start here instead of having to run all the way into the clouds and stuff.
I can see why you would want to come here whenever possible.
Yeah, because it's such a friendly place.
Really like a good place to hang out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so presumably there's a lot of good stuff out here, right?
Yeah, so you'll get some of the best resources and stuff by being out in this area.
Hey, Kyle, you can't take it with you.
You're right. You're right, Cork. If I've said it once, I've said it 3 times now. You're right. That was the 4th time.
I love it.
So basically, one thing to point out is like a lot of survival games, if you cook meat, it'll be more effective.
Okay.
So you can make meals like that. And here we have I think a chest, but we're just going to take all these bottles because bottles, when you use them, when you drink out of them, they don't sort of deplete. So having a lot of bottles means you get to have a lot of water on you. And they're off in the distance. You can see sort of our objective there.
Does he have one sleeve on?
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
I mean, that's just cool. You know, sometimes you want to have a mix of long sleeves and short sleeves.
All right.
So here's a little bit of the lock picking, which is basically you have to hold down R2 to match that part. So right now, the reason he can still unlock it, but it's making a ton of noise.
Yes.
So it's going to alert nearby zombies.
Okay.
But you can still sort of brute force it. And they also said that you can just break the thing, which will also cause a lot of noise.
Okay. Which it looks like it did, I guess, right? There's at least one. It's weird that they don't, I know we've talked about it already, but the fact that they don't have heads is odd.
Yeah, they're powered by crystals.
I guess.
But yeah, it's maybe so they didn't have to animate or
faces,
work with faces at all.
Animate faces?
That was always
very
my
expressive.
That was always my theory for Metal Gear Solid 1 is like, oh, all the enemies are wearing baklavas or whatever, so they don't have to animate the mouths and faces and stuff.
Yeah. This is another workaround, you know? It's just not have the faces in the first place. So there's a little bit of stealth, which is kind of fun. But like
some Fultoning. That's important.
yeah, we're gonna.
Wait, you can Fulton them?
Yeah.
Why on earth do you want him?
Because I think they give you resources, and also they get rid of them so that other people won't. I mean, it's not like they're gonna spot them and tell all their friends, right? Because they're zombies or whatever.
They don't even have mouths.
Yeah, use wormholes, which to be fair, as ridiculous as the idea of just using wormholes for whatever sounds, they were in Metal Gear Solid 5.
That's true. They were the best.
Yeah, they were great, but I mean, so it's not like a totally out of left field thing because Metal Gear's always been a little weird. Let's be honest.
Right, and it's a cautionary tale. Tale of the consequences of using wormholes.
That's right.
That if you yourself, this is a slice of what these people who've been wormholed may have experienced.
Right. If you stare into the abyss of a wormhole, eventually you'll get sucked into it.
There you go.
Is I think a famous quote.
Yeah.
So we're sort of making our way through here.
So it looks like you've got you've got a lot of oxygen. Like you're not in a huge rush. So.
Right, and so as I'm killing these guys, I'm basically getting more energy from my tank. So it's
okay.
So it's not going to be
energy is filtering the air.
So they're like walking bubbles.
Basically,
mission.
So you can think of me as Sonic the Hedgehog working my way through a water level where you have to go through the spots where there are bubbles. Yeah. So here I'm going to build an extra fence. Just in case, they make it over. They're going to have to deal with another fence. Another small barricade.
It doesn't seem like there's been any urgency with them chasing you up until this point.
Right.
So that seems like you're being unnecessarily careful.
Yes. So the thing about sort of this particular mission is this is the first mission where things started getting real dicey.
Oh, okay.
So we're trying to clear out enemies because we failed this mission once before.
Oh.
So
he should have been playing a harmonica.
Yeah.
Seems like would have been a good thing for him.
For as much noise as I'm making, basically, yeah. I may as well have been calling out to them.
So do you call that a crystal shot at this point, since they don't have heads in the traditional way?
Yeah, but you do deal extra damage if you hit them in the crystal.
Yes. It's like a traffic cone.
Yeah.
Every time I see him.
Well, this is a VLC media player, so it works out.
Oh, dear.
just a little
behind the scenes.
Yeah, behind the scenes humor.
For all you dorks out there.
Some video people.
That's right. They can play MP4s and FLACs. So anyway, we're building up this barricade because basically once I activate this mission, I'm gonna have a timer where a bunch of zombies are gonna come at me.
Is the mission like ring the dinner bell? Essentially.
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
So. You can build sort of these larger barricades, which you can also hop onto. So if you have like a part of the world you can't get to, it might be worthwhile to make one of those and use it as a stepping stone.
We're going to see you doing it soon, but I like the gameplay act of like stabbing zombies through a fence.
Yes.
Because I was talking to Cork about this the other day. I think that they went into that in detail in The Walking Dead at some point, that was like a method for killing zombies for them.
Yeah.
Which I always thought was kind of interesting. Like, it makes sense. If they can't get through the fence, you can just poke them right in the noggin or the crystal. Excuse me.
And only the pole will reach through. It's not like you can use whatever, machete that I also have.
Yeah.
Like, that won't reach through the fence.
Don't be ridiculous.
And I think bullets might reach through the fence.
I should certainly hope so.
Yeah.
Because they're smaller than those holes.
Yeah.
Unless you're shooting a really large gun.
I wasn't able to confirm it since I don't have a gun, but
yeah,
I would imagine that that's the case.
So do you anticipate getting super frustrated by not having a gun? Because you played for a couple hours and did not get one, right?
I didn't have a problem with it, but I definitely feel like if it went on for like way too much longer of just not having that stuff. But it definitely doesn't feel like a game that so far has needed me to be super precise with like headshots and stuff. So but I imagine that later on they'll introduce sort of more difficult enemies and you'll have the guns to match. And
What's
stuff.
the Metal Gear thing too is like Metal Gear has so many guns and Kojima loved guns and going into detail about guns. But I mean, like if you're playing Metal Gear right, you're not shooting that much ultimately,
Yeah, doing a lot of choking. Kojima's also really into choking, so he implemented that in the games as well. So as you can see, I have a 2.5 minutes to make sure these zombies don't get at this wormhole teleporter before it activates.
I understand you're playing as your own character that you create and everything, so you're not playing as Snake. Do you think it's that the reason that you have one glove on, do you have some kind of rocket fist that just is not active in this build? Oh wait, it's just, I can't.
Or maybe you've grafted somebody else's arm onto your right arm, and now you've adopted their
Snake's
personality.
missing arm, and he's grafted it onto himself.
So speak to those questions. Thank you.
I don't know.
Okay,
it would be my answer to that.
You heard it here first.
Cork, I think you're right.
Yeah,
that's 5 times that you're right today.
I love it.
It's true. New gameplay today. Cork was right. So here.
I love Molotov cocktails.
Yeah, so we're gonna chuck these.
Yeah. Nice shot.
Look at that.
Makes up for blowing the lockpicking mission.
Yeah.
That was a really nice shot.
It's just a lot of like this is something you basically do when you already kind of know what's about to happen versus before where the first time I tried it I was just completely thrown off guard. So yeah, they're kind of eat through the barricades eventually. They're also approaching from multiple angles, which I don't know if we get to see a lot of the people.
Yeah, you set up some of those barricades in the other direction, but...
So we're just kind of ignoring those guys for now. But yeah, they're making very short work of that normal fence.
So do you think having enemies that are zombies or something close to them inoculates you against criticism for having bad AI?
A little bit. I think it's because it becomes less about sort of the individual actors and more about crowd management of just this amorphous blob you have to micromanage.
Yep. Then he gets hung up on the geometry. You're like, well,
it's a zombie,
I don't use that tone of voice. You're insinuating there.
I mean, yeah, to some degree.
Okay, looks like Molotov cocktail juice will go through the holes of the fence.
Yeah, fire goes through fences, confirmed.
Love it.
Myth busted. Oh
my.
Yeah, these sand barricades also let you poke them from on high, and that guy's just not having a good day. Just
from on high.
Doesn't even. Yeah.
Bloody duh.
Ow. So once that timer expires, you're basically in the clear.
So in retrospect, what would you do differently now that you saw how this played out?
Well, this played out pretty well.
Yeah.
I think you did a good job.
Well, just again, this wasn't me.
It was a trick question. The answer is nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to loot a little bit more, but now we'll be able to teleport to this area and sort of explore from here. And of course we get a bunch of resources that we can, just stabbing stuff to get resources feels kind of nice.
Yeah. I like this. I've learned that the ingredients of wooden plank with nails are wood and nails.
Yeah. Sort of like IKEA furniture in reverse, where you want the components, not so much the finished product.
Guys, those things are hard to build, right?
Yeah. Also, one thing to point out that doesn't really show up well in the footage is just that if you just hold the square button,
yes,
no matter where you're going, you'll just automatically pick up stuff.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, okay, that's handy.
So you don't have to.
Hey, look, you've even got kitchen sinks.
Smashing the square button. So you can see another lock there. We were definitely gonna.
You're real grabby. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, just good hand animations.
I was telling Suriel earlier that I genuinely think Metal Gear Solid 5 has the best lock picking minigame.
Yeah.
Because you just hold the button down, so you get all the benefit of like the scary moment of trying to pick a lock quickly, but without the necessity of like a mini game, you know. So I was kind of bummed to see that they have included like a mini game in Metal Gear, but
I mean, again, if you don't want to bother with it, you can just blow it up or something and get the
fight the
resources
zombies.
anyways. Yeah,
it's all about choice.
Yeah. So here we're gonna check out a little bit of the character upgrade system where this machine eats you, and you get to invest some of the Kuban energy you have. Because you have a ton of Kub, which is what their short-term version of it. So then you have all these skills like here, you can increase the number of attacks. You can sort of get a charge-up attack on your melee weapons. So we're gonna get that.
Seems handy. Do you think you have to choose like your Kuban to be your oxygen or be your leveling up stuff? Do you think?
I think it's one resources. So yeah, eventually that's gonna be the sort of the resource you manage that way.
Interesting.
And so here's the last sort of bit here we'll show off, which is the co-op missions. So initially they told me like they were planning to have, multiplayer sessions, but they weren't able to do that with us. So they said, well, we'll have you on an easy one. Maybe you can pull it on your own. And I said, no, give me the hardest thing you have. I want extreme difficulty by myself. And I did not succeed.
Okay.
Spoiler.
But we do get to see what sort of the worst that they can throw at you are in these co-op missions.
And so ideally you would be playing this. Do you know how many people you can play with? Is it just 2?
4.
4.
You can play up to 4. So one of the interesting things is that there is this main objective that'll automatically start basically once that timer ends. But there are also, if you look at the map, there will be different side objectives that your team can accomplish. So basically you look at the map, see where the objectives are, and say, all right, you guys take this side objective so we can get more loot, and you guys take this guy, and then so you split up and then converge back together before this timer expires so you can start the actual mission. So there's some interesting strategy going on there, but you also do want to be building these defenses because zombies are going to come at you eventually once that timer expires. So there's kind of an interesting mix of team play and sort of individual play going on. Building a bunch of barricades here, which again, these are all taken from your single player stash. The idea being that if you a massive, basically whatever you get out of here, you can take into the main game. And so that's how they phrased it, of just, this isn't going to be like a multiplayer first game. It's going to be a game where you use the multiplayer to sort of gain resources for the single player.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, which is weird because I feel like the first few sessions they showed off at this game, it was all multiplayer, and this is sort of the first we're seeing of that single player aspect, which is weird considering it's the biggest part of the game.
Yeah, I guess maybe just because they knew Metal Gear was going to be it's hard to make a Metal Gear without Kojima. Maybe they wanted to say hey, look how different this one is. This one has co-op. I
guess introduce it as something completely different.
Yeah,
and set those expectations.
Yeah, zombies, co-op. This isn't your normal Metal Gear.
Yeah, I will say that for as similar as it feels and to Metal Gear Solid 5, it didn't necessarily feel like, oh, I'm playing a new Metal Gear game. It wasn't. It didn't feel that familiar to me. Even though a lot of the the UI and stuff is very similar, this doesn't feel like this is a Metal Gear game. This feels more like a fun survival game that happens to have Metal Gear elements, which is nice because I think one of the best things about Metal Gear Solid 5 was how well it played.
Yeah, it's nice that this style of gameplay is being adapted somewhere else.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the title of the game would be very misleading.
Yes.
It would just be survival.
Which is also funny because they're abbreviating it as MGV. just so it doesn't have, because normally it would be MGS.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Which
Metal
would
Gear
be confusing.
Survive. Yeah.
So they jumped right to the V.
Yeah.
Which still seems like Metal Gear 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Look, not our problem, ultimately.
Exactly.
I mean, at this point, Konami could just release Metal Gear 3, right? Because then this whole Solid thing was just like a spin-off series.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's a
solid point.
Here's my advice to you, Konami. Just make Metal Gear 3. And just say that whole Kojima thing was just sort of a side story, even though he made the first two.
They can mumble through that part of the
And Solid was a continuation of those first two games.
Don't worry about it. So it looks like there were arrows on the ground. Is that kind of giving you an idea of where the zombies are coming from?
Yeah, those are the paths that the zombies will take. And here you see that I crafted a bow, and I'm just laying into this guy. You can see that those guys are level 30. That's why I'm not taking them down immediately.
What level are you?
I am still level 1, I think.
This is a disaster.
Yeah, so...
no offense.
As you can see right there, at the bottom of the screen it says how much energy I've extracted, and that'll give you your rank.
Oh, okay.
So
up to
up
the
to
S ranking.
Oh, okay.
I like games where you can get S ranks.
Yeah.
I think it's fun to do well at stuff to get that stuff, and I appreciate that they sort of just give you a bar, because in a lot of games you'll do a thing and you're not until the results screen you're not sure if you're gonna get it, which is like a fun way to build excitement. But also if you're like trying over and over again, you kind of want the idea of like, okay, this is a botched run. Let's just start over.
Yes.
Yeah. I have exactly 5 seconds to go until I get that S ranking.
Right.
Yeah.
So everyone just hold out until then or whatever. Like having that motivation there up front is pretty cool. But yeah, it's starting off okay. This is not me playing, so this is much better than I did my first time. But you can definitely see that it takes a lot more to stop these zombies.
The ones you were killing earlier seemed a lot easier.
Yeah. So if you get down, you can use a revival pill to get yourself back up. But you have very limited uses of those. Or you can have someone else revive you. But you only have 10 seconds, so it has to be like an immediate, like, guys, I'm down. Someone has to come get me.
Put the pill in my mouth.
Yeah.
So does the
I can't do it myself.
That's the wormhole digger.
Yeah.
Can that be destroyed by the zombies? Or
Yes.
okay.
So if they get to it, it'll eventually be destroyed by the zombies.
So you're trying to stay alive and not have that thing be destroyed. Both of those things. Oh, what just happened?
So I think a bomb went off.
Oh, well, that's a good thing, right?
So yeah, you can see the health of the wormhole diggers. So, and it cleared out all the defenses, so we have to start building it up again.
Man, those fences seem pretty good. It seems like you just want to do like rows of fences.
Yeah.
Make like a maze.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think they do they prefer to destroy the fences instead of trying to navigate around them. But I'd be interested in seeing if maybe the AI does adapt of like, hey, if there's a clear path around it, maybe you just walk through it. And then there's just like a bunch of people poking them through fences on either side as they walk through this hall of fences.
It seems like every game that lets you do that kind of like construction element, there are ways to game the system in fun ways.
Yeah.
So,
That's by design, yeah.
So we have a little bit of time until the next wave, which again, you can use to get a little bit more side missions done as someone on the base, in the base area.
And craft stuff too.
Yeah.
Okay. I could tell. Did it look like it paused the game when you were crafting? That can't be right though, right?
I don't think it does, but I mean, maybe because this is a single player thing, it might.
Yeah,
but
normally it would.
Yeah, I would imagine that normally you wouldn't pause the game. Although it'd be interesting if everyone had to pause the game individually and someone just kind of had to stand there with someone else's crafting. Cork, you said on part of the demo.
yeah.
What were your sort of takeaways from what you saw?
It reminded me of, in a weird way, how much, even though the game looks completely different, how much fun I had with Phantom Pain. And kind of, I'm excited to play a game even if it only has just a few of the same bones and the skeleton in common. Because I think it's a real nice looking game. You said that it shares elements from the map, even though it's probably like a big remix in significant ways. Wow. It's difficult. I think it looks like it's going to be fun. I'm interested to see how long you really are poking things through holes in fences and stuff, because if that's the bread and butter of the game, I don't know if I have the patience for that.
Yeah.
I'm also curious what the story is going to be like. Like, I don't have big, lofty Metal Gear expectations for it, but I want to know, whether it's canon or not, like, it's still part of this Metal Gear universe, and I'm curious where it goes and what happens.
We heard a little bit of the AI robot companions talking earlier in the video. My concern is that they're going to be as prominent as they were in the demo because they're very difficult to listen to. Like it seems
the robot
like
voices?
placeholder. Like it doesn't sound good in my opinion.
It actually, the female voice actually sounds like the character from Nintendo Land that would tutorialize everything for you. Guys all remember her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One of my favorite characters in gaming. I don't know. I don't have a problem with the robot voices, but just to be clear, we are cutting out all the cutscenes. So there were cutscenes that you would watch between some of these missions. So this guy made it way farther than I ever did. And so I think you can teleport to the wormhole generator whenever. But yeah, I do. I don't know how into sort of wave-based defense stuff I am at this point. I feel like there was definitely around, Gears 2 with the Horde mode, and for a few years there was definitely like a heyday of just every game has wave-based defense modes.
Are we gonna see a PUBG alternate version of this eventually?
That's true. 100 snakes drop onto.
Well, it's funny because it already seems like that could work with the storm element and stuff like that. Like they already have
the low visibility.
Yeah, a big map where you could close it down as the player pool gets smaller and smaller. Like those elements are already in universe in a way that makes more sense even than player unknown.
Yeah, just have a thing where as soon as you see another player, you hear the alert signal, like the alert sound. That'd be pretty nice.
Yeah, they could. Surely they're working on that already, right?
That's true.
That's the first big update.
What do you think of their subtitle?
Good God, that guy's got too much head.
Is it?
He's handling it well.
He's a big fat zombie. He's gonna blow up.
I think it's Metal Gear Unknown.
I'm really into that guy. He's pretty good.
Looks like he's got like tin foil.
It's like a
wait, that guy's blowing up, right? For sure.
Like a Mardi Gras costume or something. We're gonna see cosplay of that.
Oh, that's sure. Like a Dark Souls enemy or something. Oh, he was your friend.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah. The Onion Knight?
Yeah, it is kind of like an onion, the Onion Knight. Not a Onion Knight, the Onion Knight, excuse me. Oh, look at that. That was like a special ultra spinny move.
So now we're out of revival pills.
There you go. That's it. That's
what a fitting end.
That's a good look at Metal
killed
Gear.
by the military police zombies.
MGV.
Yeah, MGV.
Coming out in February, right?
Yeah. Thanks for walking us through your demo and sharing your precious MGV memories with us.
That's right. You're welcome, Cork, and thank you for having me on this.
Absolutely.
Look at MGV.
Hey, Kyle. Thanks for doing Kyle things.
You're welcome.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.